everyone, and welcome to Refresh. This is a time to connect, to be inspired, to learn something, and ultimately feel a bit better for this time spent together. And you all know this is what Generation W is all about. Every time we get together, there's this embodiment of truth and warmth and connection and positivity. And for those of you who have already registered for Generation W on April 1st, and plan on traveling to Jacksonville, which is honestly a great destination, you will feel the power of connection and experience all that is the embrace in this community. However, here's the great news. I don't know if I haven't even told anybody on this call other than Taviana, she knows this, is that for those of you who are unable to travel or just can't be here on the 1st of April, you too can feel the power of connection as we will be streaming Generation W live. So a live stream for the very first time. And it will be produced. So it won't just be a camera on a person on a stage. We'll have some of that, but there'll be all other added elements. It's really exciting and a tremendous challenge. We've been wanting to do this for years, but I guess you can say this is one of the good things that came out of COVID, right? So the great news is that all of you can attend. And of course, once you have a live stream link, you can watch it at your personal leisure and pleasure. So Generation W, everybody, we're encouraging you to register April 1st. The date's coming up sooner than we think because time, as you know, travels rather quickly these days because you know what? It is February already. I find that I am always thinking about time. I don't know why, right? It's an artificial construct, minutes, hours, think about it. They were made up. I suppose days follow the sun, so maybe not so made up, but February is the month of love. Love hearts are popping up in store windows and talk of sweethearts and love. Again, this could be another artificial made up construct, a holiday made so that we would purchase things and buy things. But you know what? I think it's what you make of it. And it's my parents' love produced me in the month of February. It's easy for me to understand why I buy in so readily. I was reading earlier this week and I saw a letter from former President George H.W. Bush. I don't know if any of you know, but he was just an unbelievable note writer, always filled with little sage pieces of advice and thank yous to his family and his friends. And in this case, he wrote a note to President Gerald Ford. And he just wanted to tell him that he appreciated him as a friend and that he realized we don't tell our friends really how much we appreciate them. And that really, truly resonated with me, enough so that I'm bringing it up today with all of you, because you see, there are people in our lives, some we know well, and some we don't even know at all, who spend their lives professing their love for us, for our communities, and a desire to contribute and to elevate, showing us their love by how they spend their time and very special resources. They speak a love language, and that love language truly makes the world go round. Obviously, it's February. You get it all, how it's connecting. And even when COVID is mucking up the gears, and by the way, oh my goodness, it still is, people like Hope and Taviana and Ellen are greasing the wheels with a love of purpose. And it's something we should all appreciate and be grateful for, especially in the month of love, which is February. Today, we get a chance to meet these fantastic women. They are special, and I know that they are representative of millions of women who speak the language of love and make a difference. Of course, not exclusively. We are a very inclusive thinking community, right? Hope, all of us. And there are millions of men as well. But today, how lucky for us to spend time with Hope McMath, the founder and director of Yellow House. And, I was going to tell a little bit about each one of them, but I'm going to let you do that when we talk. Ellen Wiss, who's the co-founder and president of Read USA. And I have to say, it felt like just yesterday we were sitting at a bar and she said, hey, I'm doing a book fair. And oh my God, had that book fair turned into a powerhouse of impact. And Taviana Sanders, who I have to tell you, I am delighted that she is now our director of Generation WOW. And she too has devoted her life to kids, learning, and young teens. And we'll hear a little bit about her story as well, because February is the month of love, and what better way to celebrate than talking about how we can use our love to make a difference in the world. So Hope, I'm going to start with you. Hi, Hope. Hope's been on the Generation W stage. Her work is unbelievable. COVID didn't muck up her wheels. They kept moving. Tell everybody a little bit about Yellow House and what you're up to right now.
I'm so glad to be with you and with Taviana and Ellen. a great circle of folks. So thanks for the invite, Donna.
Thanks for saying yes.
I have this little organization called Yellow House, and it does work at the intersection of art and social justice and civic engagement. And so we have a gallery space. We do work in community. We kind of blur the lines and edges between education and activism and art making and art looking, and ultimately just getting in a lot of good trouble on many days. And COVID was rough. I won't lie about that. We had to close our physical space for quite some time, but it actually gave us time to do some things we had never done before. And really spending a lot of time listening deeply to our communities. And so it changed our practice, and in many ways changed it for the better. So I'm glad to still be here and doing the work we're doing, and embracing new challenges that COVID presented, which were really gifts.
Well, it's so amazing. And we're going to talk about that for sure. Okay. Ellen, listen, I met Ellen. She was an amazing leader of an organization we have here in Jacksonville called the Women's Giving Alliance. She grew it exponentially, and but that was not enough. She has spun out a lot of other efforts. So her love language is pouring out of her. But this Read USA thing, which has taken on a incredible, new dimension. Share a little bit about that with us.
Thank you, Donna. And I'll never forget with the Women's Giving Alliance, my favorite champion in the room was you. These big ideas came out, and you were like, "Hey, let's go for it." While everyone else in the room was going, "How are we going to do it?"
We never worry about hope and talk. We never worry how we're going to do it. We just know we're going to get there, exactly. Right? It follows.
And so I thank you so much, and for this opportunity, and to be with Hope and talk. And a lot of the guests a lot of the participants today who have helped fuel these efforts. And I'm just so grateful. If it weren't for support and awareness and goodness, and we just, we'd be spinning our wheels. So Read USA is started. I was a tutor in a classroom with a teacher, and she was doing great work. And she had, I was helping kids with reading and preparation for the state testing, or rather the testing. And this teacher had amazing reach with all of her kids, and it was in 100% high poverty neighborhood, and these kids were performing for her because she believed in them. She let them know that they could succeed, and that she would provide the tools for them. And when I saw what was happening in that classroom, I'd been, helping in many other efforts in the area of poverty, but it made me realize this is where it starts. And with a good teacher and the tools, any kid, no matter where, what zip code they're from, they can succeed. And so I just ran up to her and said, "You're in the trenches. I can't do what you do, but what can I do?" And she said, without hesitation, "My kids need books. They need to own. Gave me the research on book ownership, the lack of opportunity for these kids, and I said, let's do this. Let's make this happen. So together, we had a book fair with no cost, and every kid in the school got to participate. And you'd think we took them to the World Fair or Orlando or something for and it was amazing. And volunteers were rewarded. The supporters were amazed, and every child faculty member was in awe and so happy. And so we vowed to do it every year. And then other folks that I'm involved with, like yourself and others, said, "Hey, this seems easy and other schools could benefit and other kids." And so here we are today with our footprint in every elementary school in Duval County, and early learning sites and other community centers. And then our laser focus is on getting kids to read, because reading is fundamental. You can do anything if you know how to read. But you have to know how to read to learn. You have to know how to read to do anything. So that's our focus. And so everything that we've deepened in everything that we've done since then is to that end. And I could share more and more, but we're doing, now we're in 12 schools on a contract with DCPS, with pairing teen reading tutors with elementary school children, also bringing 45 teachers from Duval County Elementary School as coaches and oversight coordinators for these teens, providing professional development to those teachers, providing the curriculum and the one-on-one training for the tutors. These are teen tutors that are in schools right now. On the other end of it, we're going to have reading games by all of these elementary school students, 777 of them right now on this school level contract. And all of the teen tutors, which is almost 300 that are in the schools, and then professional development for 45 to 60 teachers.
I'm telling you, that's amazing. That's a lot. And I want to dig in more there. That's a lot. But I have to say, with all of that great work, there's something you said that really stood out. I hear Hope say it. I see Hope do it. It's a simple question, which is, what can I do? Right? What can I do? None of this happened if you didn't ask that, right? Hope says, what can I do? And when you look, Hope, we'll go through your work. Everything was, what can I do? Whether all of a sudden there's food, right? You're at the farm, right? But I'm going to go to Taviana. Taviana, believe it or not, was one of those elementary school principals up until about, how long ago now? Was it 4 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, about 4 weeks.
Right? She is now our director of Gen Wow. And you say, what can I do? So where did your question of what can I do, that language of love, where did it take you?
So the language of love took me on a journey. Of course, right now I'm here with Generation Wow, and I feel like this program was designed just for me. We are all about education, inspiration, and connection. And prior to working with Generation Wow, like Donna shared, I was an elementary school principal, but I also founded a nonprofit for girls. And that stemmed from me asking, what can I do? I am a product of 2 teen parents, but I had mentors throughout the Jacksonville community that always invested in me, always gave time. And one of my mentors that really inspired me was my aunt. When I was 13, she ran for city council and she asked me to help out on her campaign. And in that moment, I realized how much I enjoyed connecting with people in the community. After that, I liked school. Before that, I didn't even like going to school, but I went to school just so that I could run for things. So I ran for class president for 2 years in a row. And that was one of the reasons why I always harassed my peers. But in that moment, I found my voice. I had several different moments where people would challenge my voice and question who I was, but I had to ensure that I was leveling up and just being true to myself. And I wanted to inspire other girls to feel that same level of confidence that I have. And so that's my why with everything that I do, just ensuring that the next generation of leaders are just as confident and that they have mentors as well.
Right. And so, again, as I was thinking about all the work that you do, others that do, those who are joining us and what they want to learn. And please, if anyone has any questions, please pop them on. And Annie, I just saw you pop on. You were on my mind all day. Thanks for being here. Annie's from the West Coast, so it's always great to have our West Coast friends join us. COVID. Hope, you said it was a gift. And I agree with you, and yet it's so hard to say at times because there's been so much pain and loss and all that, and yet there's been a lot of gifts. All of our organizations have kind of grown and have shown how resilient we are. So you in particular, you shut your doors down, and yet you never stopped moving, did you?
No, we really couldn't and didn't want to, right? And so what we did, which is what we always do, is just tried to pay attention to the neighbors around where Yellow House is located, trying to stay connected with the artists that we work with, which are visual artists and poets, staying connected with the activists that we help house. And we began taking our work outside more often than we ever had. The image you're seeing on a screen is a part of a mural project that we did at Pinedale Elementary School during COVID. The principal there was really committed to doing some public art on her campus that was representative of her students. So I commissioned Christopher Clark and Tatiana Kitchen, two of our brilliant local artists, to go and work on that campus and have everything look very different when the students returned to school. And so that was one example of the kinds of things that we did. But I have to say, we also held space for that grieving and for that pain and for loss. We actually turned our front lawn into a space where people could express their grief and loss. We worked with local poet Yvette Angelique, who I know is on today's call, to write a poem about the moment we were in, which was filled with trepidation, with fear of violence, with a pandemic, with racial reckoning. And we put that poem large on the outside of our building and then invited community to come and lift up their concerns and their dreams into the oak trees that serve as a canopy for our building. We call it a reckoning with shadow and shine. And it has been powerful, and it's still up 2 years later, and people add to it every day. It is. It's really simple, and then it became this space, which we didn't anticipate, where we began doing food distribution for our neighbors. We recognized that in those early months of COVID, food insecurity, which was always a challenge, became a serious challenge, a dangerous challenge. So we started trading our labor on a farm 1 day a week, where I would go and my volunteers would go and work with Angela Tenbrook in Palatka. And then she would load up our car with fresh produce that then became a free produce stand on our front lawn. And it has since turned into a mutual aid space where people leave things that they don't need and that they have to give, and people come and get what they need. And so now we're doing art and farming, y'all. Like, I would have never dreamed I'd be working on a farm once a week. It's so in my wheelhouse, but it's a joy, and that is where the gift is, right? Is that this marrying of people's needs, desires, who had resources, who needed resources, and making that happen with no questions asked. And to me, that is what radical love looks like.
I love the image of you as a farmer. I do love that. And it's something I really want to do. I think about that a lot. But let me ask you all this. It's one thing to want to speak the language of love. A lot of people are like, how do I step in? Ellen, you mentioned how there were people just saying, well, how do I do that? And in doing this work, it doesn't come without any kind of pushback, right? Or blowback in some ways. You don't even realize, like, I'm doing this for the greater good. I love my community. And there are people telling you, hey, maybe not. So let me ask you that. Where do you summon, right, the gumption, if you will, to back up the passion to make things happen? I'll take an answer from anybody.
So for me, I've always invested in taking risk, but also ensuring that I had the skills to take calculated risk. So in the middle of COVID, especially in schools, I faced so much conflict. And so I invested in a Dare to Lead coach. And with that, I was able to gain the strategies that I needed to understand how to really connect with people. Some terms that I started to use was that it's okay to rumble, and setting guidelines for rumbling. So we may have a conversation, it may be uncomfortable, but I am here and we can communicate, because communication is key. So much conflict happens and is unresolved because we don't communicate. And then the other piece is just that clear is kind. So although I may say something that you may not agree with, as long as I'm very clear, as long as I'm very kind in my language, I am celebrating the fact that I'm coming from my best place. And hopefully you'll be able to receive what I'm sharing with you. And it also takes consistency. Sometimes people don't hear you in that moment, but you just have to be consistent, revisit the situation, and, stick to it.
Yeah, you do have to stick to it. Ellen, how about you? Like, you started out, right, having a little book there?
I totally agree that persistence is the key. I mean, when you say, how do you, with pushback or whatnot, I mean, I always blame myself. If there's pushback, it just means I haven't done a good enough job for myself. I feel the way. I just feel that way. I just feel like I haven't done a good enough job to make this connection for people to understand how important this is. I mean, because I see it. I mean, we have data that shows the efficacy of this, of what we're doing, that it is actually moving the needle on reading. And then the wonderful unintended outcome. I mean, they're intended for us, but still we're laser focused on the reading gap. But with that, we're these teen tutors that have bonded with these younger kids that they, that they have had an impact on their lives, have now made decisions to go into teaching or to go into the education field. And we've written letters of recommendation to, or not me, but Dr. Rob Kelly has written letters of recommendation for kids to go into the education department of colleges. Then, I mean, all of these things I see myself and I know they're there. And so when there's pushback, I feel like it's just, I haven't done a good enough job, but I try to give grace to myself and others. And I just know that once someone sees it for themselves, there's going to be no closing that door again. So, unless they have some other bad motive, which I think there's more good that outweighs the bad. So thanks.
Yeah, I know that keeps it going. And Hope, where you started and where you are now. I mean, I think that's another thing that's important for people to learn, that the love language is a constantly evolving language.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, I think about the amazing years that I was in the museum field working at the Cummer Museum. And, it was the evolution of that love language, of recognizing that I needed to be closer to the ground and in a practice where I could be educator, artist, curator, space holder, amplifier, storyteller, sort of simultaneously, and recognizing that there is this opportunity we all have to be part of creating courageous and gracious spaces where people get to be their fullest selves. And I think when we are seen and truly see one another, that is where community gets built. And sometimes it's one-on-one, and sometimes it's small, intimate groups of people. And there is risk in all of that. I think about in the anti-racism work that we do, there's a whole lot of people who don't love that. And I don't need everybody to love it. We just need enough of us. We need enough of us to continue to push for change and progress and do it from a place of love and authenticity. And inevitably, those who didn't think it was their language begin to adopt that language, right? And so I just, like Ellen, I believe there's a lot more good out there in the world, but it doesn't just come to us. Like, the power of that good has to be harnessed and activated for sure.
Well, it's interesting, Hope, as a incredible conveyor of powerful language. You talked about the power of people caring for one another, despite blah, just add all the despites, right? That there's, and actually, we're taking that theme for Generation W, right? Understanding the power of connection to really transform our lives, because we are so interdependent in so many ways. And then we don't really recognize, right? We don't really recognize. But do you guys, but where do you go for when you need personal support? I'm not talking about going to the community for, resources or dollars or whatever. When it hits you and say, oh my God, but by the way, people like you do this, right? I can never do enough. Is what I'm doing enough? Where do you go? Where do you find in that point? How do you recharge your battery or refuel?
So for me, I wake up every morning and I hit the gym. And that was a practice I started, especially during the pandemic, because I knew that once I arrived at school by 7:30, I had to be present for my entire team. So I couldn't be waking up in the office. I had to be ready and available. So that allowed me to energize. And I went with my husband every day. So anything that may have been in my mind or on my heart that may even have been negative from the previous day, we would talk about it. We would strategize to ensure that I was able to walk in and ensure that the team felt like every single day was a new day and that I was giving them my best selves. So I would say the gym, as well as my significant other, he's very supportive of me and my vision and my work.
Okay, I love that. Al?
I agree. Coming, hanging with you, Donna, hanging with friends. Also, meditation and being in nature. I mean, I have to recharge. I have to get out. I mean, if I can unplug and be, connect with nature and the beauty of the world, it's enough. It recharges me, so I try.
That is
pretty intentional.
You'll be happy to know. I feel like I'm shilling a little bit, but at Generation W this year, we have found a person who has actually studied the impact of nature on our well-being individually and collectively, right? Because we take it for granted, and then you're just validating the fact that you don't know why it works, but for you it works, and it works for all of us. So I'm excited about that as a power of connection piece. And Hope, where are you finding that?
Outside is definitely one of those things, right? Whether it's a walk on the river, the beach is my happy place.
Yes.
And sometimes it can just be having my hands in my own dirt, my own soil, my own garden at my home. So that's a big piece of it. For me, it's also making art. That's part of my work. It's part of my practice, but it's also who I am. It's something that when I'm not doing it, I recognize the signs of deprivation and recognize that I treat people differently when I'm not tapped in to my own creative work. And then being around family and friends. My sister is on this call today, and she is my best friend and lives only blocks from me. And my husband, who's also an artist and an educator, and my mom. We have a very small, mighty family, but it's tight. And I have a whole new appreciation for that, having gone through the last couple of years that we all went through. So yeah, for me, it's family, art always, and connecting to the mother goddess nature.
Mother goddess, maybe. Oh, wait, I was looking for a name for that panel. That might be it, right? It's not nice to fool with the mother goddess at all. I just want to remind everybody that we are at Refresh today, where it's February. So it's, the month of love. We're talking about the language of love, the power of love to change communities, right? And the passionate people that drive that change. And so I wanted to just mention to you, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this right, that in the times that feel dark, right, in the macro perspective, it feels like this country, like it's just, there's just a lot of things that feel disconnected. And yet, to use on the ground in any community, if we think that all politics are local, if we think that really at the end of the day, our neighbors are the key to creating positivity, then you know what? Do we not hold the power for positivity and change in our own hands? Aren't you really the key holders? You don't want to say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Why? Look at you, right? You've just connected schools, educators, learning, kids, mentors, teachers. I mean, that's powerful. Connection locally in our schools. Hope, what hope? Listen, by the way, I think we got a picture of the tree. Thank you so much, Katie and Sherry, for doing this. But I thought it was so important. Sherry, when you get it ready, let's show everybody the community tree here.
But Donna, I think you're absolutely right. I think what we can do locally, locking arms. Oh, so here you're seeing part of it. So these are some of these ribbons. So each of these ribbons has a message from a member of the community. The purple ribbons contain people's shadow, what they're grieving, what they've lost, what they worry about, what they want to leave behind. And then the yellow, the lighter colored ones are where people documented their hope, their dreams, how they reimagine a future that is very different than some of the turmoil that we experience today. So thank you for showing that picture. That's what it looks like when I walk out the front door here at Yellow House. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. Yvette wrote, this is the month of love and the mighty Aquarians and Pisces. Yvette, remind me, are you a mighty Aquarian? Because I didn't realize Aquarians were mighty, but okay, here I am. That's me. I am Aquarian. I want to say hello to our Facebook friends who are Nikki. Nikki, I just wrote you on Zoom too. Love you, Nikki. I haven't seen you in a lot. This is really reminding me how we have not seen so many people for so long. Lauren Little, haven't seen her in such a long time, and it's great to see you. And Emmy Moore Minister, another one of our great friends from the West Coast. I mean, I love that people come from all over to share in these conversations. You guys, we always ask people to leave us drop us your wisdom. And so what I'd love to do now is go to the page of the passions that you have expressed and some insights on how we can get there. So Sherry, why don't you put that up? Of course, Yvette, she says, I should know that way. I guess we have to celebrate together, Yvette. All right, using your passion to spread love. I don't know how you want to take it, guys, but we'll start with the first one. Resist paralysis by analysis. Who wants to take us through that?
Well, I'm the one. I'm one that helped bring that one up. We all did. These were also. I love Hope's intersection word. Everything that we said just intersected with the next comment, and it seemed so synergistic. But maybe I am have this tendency to be fearful, and if I don't just push that aside and go for it, I'm likely to not ever move forward. So, and I remember specifically, and I shared this with Glory when with Women's Giving Alliance, and you were right there, Donna, when I was sharing, we were sharing our new focus area of poverty, which is like boiling the ocean, and talking about big plans about how we're going to get all the sectors in the community to help us, and we're going to do it by growing our membership and whatnot. You were the one that said, guys, we can do this. Let's don't get stopped by, paralysis by analysis. And I have carried that ever since. So thank you very much. It goes with my psyche, and it helps me overcome fear. So
I think it's good for all of us, and we all can push each other, right? But in that way, Seek advice from others, but know when to trust yourself.
So this one resonates with me, especially because throughout my life, no matter what I've ever wanted to do, I've had naysayers. And sometimes when people haven't had experiences or when they're not exposed, they don't understand the vision that you have. So some simple things. When I said that I was going to college, some of my family members said, well, what's the point of going to college? Well, years later, all of them went to college and they have degrees. And so maybe I started a trend with them. But people don't always understand the vision for your life until you do it. So yes, you want to get advice and you want to make educated decisions, but you must always trust your gut. Your gut doesn't lie.
Yeah, isn't that true? That is true. And it's funny. You said, I love this line, Tavian, when you said it's okay to rumble. Often my stomach rumbles. I guess, is that my stomach talking to me? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Is it nerves or are you hungry?
Well, I don't know. I try not to be hungry, but it could be well. It could be that. All right, do it well and consistently, everything will align.
Yeah, I mean, as we were all talking before today, we realized that when you're trying to practice community care, right, and sort of doing love outside of just the individual one-on-one, but sort of love in community, that sometimes we worry about how are we going to resource it? Are we going to have the capacity to do it? Have we circled enough people together to make it happen? And I think this idea of just do it well and do it consistently is just, it's about tenacity, right? And if you trust it and you've surrounded yourself with that good advice and smart people and people who love the way you love, everything does seem to line up. I mean, isn't it true? I mean, I can't tell you how many times in the last 5 years since I started Yellow House that I literally thought, well, I'm not sure this is going to work I'm not sure it's going to be around in a couple of months. But you just stay really focused on it with good people, and everything really does align. Or things evolve, right, in a way that the resources that are out there will come to bear to spread that love. I do believe that.
Well, you're living it, right? You're proving the point. Time, you know what I mean? Time and time again. And that's how we learn. That's the best way of learning. We probably need to take more of that kind of learning, the experiential learning, into our schools, because those are the skill sets that we need now, because we're going to need to be lifelong learners. So the idea that, Hope, you're telling us everything will align, just think what that will say, that what you're telling all of us regarding the possibility of what we can accomplish. It's very powerful. Very powerful. Okay, dream big. That's pretty powerful. Take action and embrace risk. Now, that's pretty scary for a lot of us as well. Who wants to move that a little bit forward for us?
So with that one, I think about the greater the risk, the greater the reward. One thing that has always stood out to me was a term that my dad shared with me. And he said, the worst thing ever is to wonder what if, because you can't go back to what if. And so I take risks because I would rather do it, fail, and learn from it versus say, well, what if I would have jumped in? What if I would have tried? What if I would have invested? It's too late now to go back. So I always embrace risk and do what's in my heart so that I feel like I'm making a difference and that I am living to my fullest potential.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I started daydreaming in high school. I started dreaming about who I wanted to be. So it's okay to dream young.
Yeah. Are you there yet? Are you still dreaming?
Well, my dreams always evolve. So right now I am living one of my dreams working with Generation Wow. But
all right, come on, such a great answer, right? What am I going to say to that, right?
Especially to my boss, right?
Your colleague, your partner. Hey, and Hope, dreaming big, or somebody said that. You said that before, right?
Yeah, I mean, and big is a relative term, right? I mean, I often have thought lately that actually my dreams and sort of how I measure progress or success, whether that's individually or my organization, actually for a lot of people probably feels really modest. It doesn't have the word big is not really a core part of our vocabulary. It's like, I believe powerful things can happen in small spaces with small groups of people who are very intentional about whatever it is that they're trying to do. And I think you can see and feel progress with one another, even without the size, but you still have to do the dreaminess, right? And for me, the risk comes in leaping from dreaming to action, right? We can dream all day long. I mean, I'm an artist and I'm surrounded by artists. Artists are dreamers. They're dreamers. They're truth tellers. They're visionaries. But the risk comes in taking those ideas and putting them in motion out into the world, away from yourself, which then allows others to embrace it or reject it. And so to me, that's where the risk is. It's moving from dream to action.
Well, what's the risk? It doesn't work? You told me it's all going to align anyway. What's the risk?
Well, no, I mean, I actually feel like fairly often it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way you thought it was going to. That what it is that people need and want in this world sometimes isn't exactly what I think is needed in this world, right? And so sometimes I have suffered from putting something out there and putting a lot of effort behind something before really considering the community I live in and the people that I want to know and see and share story with. And so I think that the risk for me is always worth it. But I also recognize as a cisgender white woman, risk for me is different than risk is for a lot of people. So I also don't want to diminish risk and the fears around it. I don't have much to lose. And I take that seriously. And because I have less to lose, it means I have a responsibility to do more.
Wow. Wow. I have less to lose, so I have a responsibility to do more. Yvette, are you going to write that one down too? Yvette's been doing us punctuation marks in the chat, which I've been loving. Right? Gloria said she loved that everybody took a chance, jumped in, guided by passion for the community, right? That's whole idea of feeling loved. I don't know Dennis Hamilton, but Dennis, thank you for your kind remark, which was he was grateful for what's happening here and to all of you, which is really lovely. Should I know Dennis? I probably do now. Dennis, you're in. Before we go, Taviana, just give us like a minute if you can on what's happening with teen girls today, because your work is about mentoring and engaging and supporting teen girls, which are, by the way, teen girls are still living in all of us, right, Ellen and Hope? Teen girls are still inside of us. We never lose our teen girl. Just tell us a little bit about what you're seeing today.
So that's a big one. I am seeing so many different things with teen girls today. They are being influenced by social media. There's conflict, there's fighting. One of the things that resonates to me the most with teen girls is just the criminalization of a certain group of girls. So I'll speak to that. And I learned more about that from the Dolores Bar Weaver Foundation. They had a report that was called The Criminalization of Girls. And with this report, they said the solution to that is to make girls leaders. And so I see the problems with girls, but I think that we have enough resources in our community if we come together to be the solution. We can make girls leaders. We can ensure that their voices are heard. We can ensure they have a seat at the table. We can ensure that our communities are more diverse, right? If we're all in our own areas and we stay in our comfort zones, we'll never grow. But I think what we need more of is a diverse group of teen girls sitting at the table, having conversations, and realizing that they have more in common than they know. So
right. And I think, yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, and mentioning the Dolores Bar Weaver Policy Center is also great because we've worked side by side with them, inviting girls to go back and forth, which is great. We also want to mention that on Tuesday, Generation Wow, this will be our first live event in 2 years. 2 years, you guys. So all of you who are coming out, I have to just say the school district here in Jacksonville has been really committed to getting these girls in person with each other. We'll have mentors. If there's anyone on this call who wants to join us on Tuesday and do the mentor walk with these girls, Yvette Angelique started a letter writing tradition when we started this 9 years ago. It is all powerful, all powerful. You can hear a pin drop in the room, and it's become part of our work on a regular basis. And so that's on Tuesday, and I'm excited about that as well. Before we leave, because actually time's up, ladies, we moved this to 45 minutes because it's in the middle of the day and people are back at work and all of that kind of stuff. And we want them to be with us and be respectful of their time. A parting word of love and community that you'd like to just leave with everyone today. Ellen, come on.
Gratitude. Thank you, Donna, and everyone here. I feel filled up and I appreciate this.
Okay, Hope?
Really just grateful to see the three of you for sure, and know that we are all moving in this world together. And obviously gratitude and love are sisters. And so I'm feeling both right now. So thank you.
That's awesome. And Taviana?
Pass the torch. So show love by passing the torch. Join Generation Wow on Tuesday, February 15th as a mentor, and just support this movement of developing the next generation of leaders and girls.
Yeah, it's really important. And let me say this, I always keep notes. Again, what can I do? I heard that question so loud and clear, and all of you have asked that, and you said it in different ways, but Ellen, you just put it right out front. And what's so remarkable is how you're answering that. And then you're telling us, because listen, it is troubling times in many, many ways. And each of us probably dwell in it in different ways at different times. But when I think about the simplicity of saying, what can I do? It can be, as you said, Hope, it doesn't have to be big. You can put a streamer on a tree and make an expression of love and release and connection and healing just by that. And so all of these things to create these little positive moments of change and connection happen every day. And that's what I'm feeling today. I am 6,500 miles away from you today. And I have to say that my sense of community feels like we are together holding each other's hands in a way that's so magnificent. So I too am really grateful and grateful for all who've joined us. Marsha Brody, it's nice to see you. Yvette, of course, your energy always comes across wherever you are. And Trisha and everybody else who's joined us today. I want to thank Sherry Levin, our producer, Katie, and of course, Glory and Taviana, and our whole team for week in and week out, really putting in the work to bring people together, because it really matters, because when that happens, we can all help each other elevate. So we'll see you back in a couple of weeks. We'll be working on Gen Wow next Tuesday. We have Generation W coming up April 1st, but in between, there's probably something we can do to help hope. And, you know, we're big into reading. So obviously, Ellen, what you're doing really matters to all of us. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to tap into not only you, but share what they're doing, because a community of love makes the world go round. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.